Hey, I'm Hesham. You're watching Pushing Film. Welcome back. Thanks for joining. In this video, I'm going to show you how to unbox and assemble the Essential Film Holder version 3.2. This is the self-assembly version because you have the pre-assembled version and the self-assembly version. And because I just got sent this upgraded version by Andrew, I thought I would just give you a quick run through of some of the differences, but most importantly, show you how to put it together in case you don't really like reading the instruction manual and just to kind of demonstrate how easy it is. Because by getting the self-assembly version, you save a bit of money in exchange for just putting it together yourself, which really isn't that hard. And this film holder is quite a simple little contraption that I first spoke about all the way back in, I think, 2020. And it's had little incremental upgrades ever since, including the self-assembly version, which makes it even better value if you can be bothered putting it together yourself. So I'm just going to start off by opening all the contents and getting everything out. But yeah, the first thing you want to do is peel off all the little adhesive bits that are on these. So there's a protective film that you can kind of see that's on either one or both sides of some of these components. So yeah, that's the first step. Make sure you get all of them because you don't want to have any of these protective films still on once you've started assembling the thing, because then you might need to unscrew parts to take it off. So just double check that you've taken off any protective films from all sides. There's a sneaky one on the other side of the diffuser that you may not notice. And it's pretty satisfying peeling stuff like that, I find. So the first thing we're going to do is attach the legs to the diffuser just to build the stand. So you have these long screws, you're going to grab all of those and you're going to put one of these little cylindrical bits into each of the long screws, which will become the legs of the Essential Film Holder. So that you have 4 that look like that. Those will be your legs. And you pop them in. Once those 4 are in, you put in another one of these cylindrical spaces, which will be followed by one of the little washers to secure it. Might be better to do one at a time, but I'm a bit sloppy like that. So I'll fast forward through this. Okay, so once you've put the long screws or legs down on the diffuser layer, that's what that should look like, which is ready for the next stage, being the base layer of the 120 mask. So you have 2. One with the cutout at the bottom, one without. You want to start using the one without. Doesn't really matter which way it goes at this stage, but it will matter later. So when you're putting this down, if you find it a little bit tricky, just get your fingers underneath the post and flex them around if you need to, but it's not too much hassle. Just kind of jiggle it around until it's all the way down. Just check every corner, and that's it. The next component is the 120 guide layer. And this is where you want to start taking note of the orientation. You'll see these little holes cut out of the top. So you want to just generally just keep those on the top. So when you're facing it, it will be on the top side. And if you're in doubt, just have a look at the manual. You can see it in the photo there, but it should look like that. Then you put the top half of the 120 mask, and again, note the orientation. The open cutout will go where the non-open side of the guide layer is. That goes there, and this goes like that. You've got that closed side here with the open side there. So it should look like that. Next step is to add a little washer again to lock in the 120 mask. And if you were to just be scanning 120 and not planning on ever scanning any 35mm, this would be the end of your assembly. You could go ahead and start using this as it is, because the only thing left is to put the 35mm mask on top, which you would then remove if you were going to scan 120. So it's really that simple. You probably get the idea now, but we'll just finish the rest of the assembly just so you can see it done. And with these washers, you don't need to use any tools or spanners. You just tighten them with your fingers and they kind of just lock in on their own, using their own flexion. Okay, so the next step would be, as mentioned, the 35mm mask. And this is going to be the same as when you did the 120 mask, where you want to note that orientation. So you got 2 halves, one with the opening at the end, one without. Use the one without first. So you want that to line up like that. Okay, so the 35mm aperture is closer to that end. Yeah, just have a look at the little instruction pamphlet if you need to double check. And same thing here, if you find it difficult, just get your finger inside one of the corners and push in on the posts as you slot the mask down, and that should just make it a lot easier. And just double check it from that angle just to make sure it's sitting securely on the washers that you just put in. Next thing is the guide layer. Again, this goes the same way as the other one did. So you've got the loose open side that goes closer to where the aperture is. So that's like that, basically. And with the little dots on top once again. So when you're facing it, the dots will be on top. Last thing is the top half of the mask. And that is going to go on in that orientation. So open side of the top layer mask with the closed part of the guide layer. So it should look like that. You should be able to see the guide layer like a V shape once that top mask is on. Okay, one of the last things to do is just secure the top 35mm mask with the little wing nuts. And you'll notice there's some little washers left over. These are just spares in case you lose any of them. Cool, so you don't need to tighten these wing nuts too much, a little bit tight. And then you flip it over. And now with the latest version, you get the little non-slip rubber feet. So you just peel one of these off and stick it onto the bottom of each of the posts there. They stick on really easy. And there's also a couple of spares in case you mess these up or lose them somehow. And if you watch my initial review, you would have noticed I had the old version, which didn't have these non-slip rubber feet. A lot of people gave feedback that it slipped around. So this is nice that now it includes those so that it really doesn't move anyway. And that's it. Your essential film holder self-assembly version is done. Yeah, this latest version 3.2 has some minor updates since the earlier ones, but nothing major has changed, just incremental things, including the rubber feet and some slight changes to the way that the masks work to overcome some of the issues people had with shadowing around the edges, especially if they were using wide-angle lenses. It still represents great value. If you are interested in getting one, I've got a link in the description. It is an affiliate link, so it helps me out if you do use that. And if you have any questions about scanning, let me know in the comments. I'm always doing new videos about scanning and converting your negatives because it's something that I continue to do myself. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.